The cold winter weather is coming, and the team at Peerless Boilers, they're ready to help you prepare for this season. It's time to make sure your home is nice and warm for the cold weather. Save loads of money on your fuel bill. Do it now before it's too late and you've got a mess on your hands. Start thinking about replacing your old beast of a boiler with a new high-efficiency Peerless Boiler. Go to peerlessboilers.com, pop in your zip code, and you'll find a dealer near you. Remember, Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers, and proud sponsor of Sid and Friends in the Morning, live from Israel.
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Some days are diamonds, some days are rocks, some doors are open, some roads are blocked, sundowns are golden, then fade away. And if I never do nothing, I get you back someday, 'cause you got a heart so big.
Louis tells me this Tom Petty, the late, great Tom Petty, one of my favorite artists ever. He would have celebrated a birthday yesterday, but he didn't celebrate it because he's dead. He long dead, but man, he was great. How old would Tom Petty have been yesterday, Louis?
I think 74.
And he died too young, man.
He died in 17, yeah.
So he was,
he was
60, like 67 when he died.
But he didn't make 60. He was 66.
Yeah, 66. My beautiful wife, Danielle, tells me this, Louis Arthur, that it allegedly cost each band about $100,000 of their own money for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame weekend. They were forced to buy their own tables and pay their own airfare.
Yeah, I knew it was probably worse than what I said, but a lot of them just dismissed it. That's why Dire Straits didn't go, really.
Yeah, but I didn't like Mark Knopfler had like an issue with it. He's like one of those weird guys like Bob Dylan.
Well, he doesn't.
Like Bob Dylan didn't want to go to his own Hall of Fame thing either, right?
No, they don't believe in it. They think it's just silly. I
Weirdos.
think that's not where they...
Damn liberals. Weirdos. God.
I know how you would feel, and you would be...
Me? Are you crazy? I couldn't go enough. I'd invite everybody. I'd invite Dershowitz.
But look what you got to pay. Look what they make them
Well,
do.
I wouldn't pay for it. I'd make somebody else pay for it. Maybe Dershowitz. You know, tomorrow marks the return of the great Mark Levin to the program. The great one, Mark Levin, back on Sid and Friends tomorrow, coming up at 8:40. But my next guest is great. In fact, the greatest attorney of all time. I'll give it to him. Fine, he gets it. He's got it. I'm married to a great attorney. My friends are great attorneys, Takapina, Idala, Kniff. But he's the best of all time. And we become very, very close over the last couple of years, and I couldn't be happier. The great Alan Dershowitz. Dersh, good morning, pal. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad you got to meet Bibi in Israel and do all the things you wanted to do. It was good for Israel. It was good for America. Your interviews were fantastic. I listened every day.
Oh, thank you.
You're great. I wish that Kamala Harris had listened to you instead of to those audience members who were screaming, genocide, genocide. And she's saying, you know, you're right about that. And now they're coming back and saying, well, she didn't mean right about genocide.
Right.
She meant, well, you have a right to speak. Well, she should have condemned him and said you have a right to utter your libelous, horrible hate speech. I'm defending your right to do it, but you're wrong. That's what she should have said.
Yeah,
she
agreed.
didn't say that. She doesn't have the guts to stand up to these anti-Israel horrible racists. She wants them to vote for her, and they will. And, that's the tragedy, that she has no lines. She'll support anybody. She'll support any point of view. She'll refuse to condemn in order to get those votes in Michigan.
Yeah, but she's not going to win it. See, Alan, here is the ultimate irony, okay? Donald Trump is pro-Israel. I'm not going to go over again the 90 things he did. He is. They are not pro-Israel. Yet. The people in Michigan and Minnesota are either going to vote for Trump or stay home because these morons, because they are morons, they think Kamala is pro-Israel. She is not nearly as pro-Israel as Donald Trump.
You're right. You're absolutely right. She's not even as pro-Israel as Joe Biden. She is like Barack Obama. Neither of them have a place for Israel in their heart. Both of them, are willing to say the things. Obama looked me in the eye in the Oval Office and lied to me and said, Alan, you've known me for a long time. You know I always tell the truth. You know I'll always have Israel's back. I didn't know he meant to paint the target on to then, allow a UN resolution to go through saying that the Western Wall, where you went, the Western Wall, Barack Obama says, is illegally occupied territory.
I got to tell you, this latest story that came out, and Levin was the one who told me about it. If this is true, Alan, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, I've said a lot since Monday, October the 9th. I was really at the forefront of all of this. I really was. Yeah. When I told them you couldn't trust Biden, you couldn't trust this administration, dealing back with their dealings with Iran years ago. But if this story is true, Alan, that the Jerusalem Post printed a couple of days ago, that the United States government tipped off Iran on what Bibi is planning on doing to them, that is the ultimate in backstabbing. If this is true, we've reached an all-new low in this country. Agree or disagree?
According to my former colleague, Larry Tribe, who will say anything against Israel as long as it's in favor of Kamala Harris, Larry Tribe yesterday said, no, it was Donald Trump who tipped off the Iranians.
Oh, come on.
And he's the one who has now said that Israel is engaged in ethnic cleansing and are committing war crimes. This is so typical. This is my colleague who used to be pro-Israel, but he was told in no uncertain terms, you want to be a member of the hard left, you've got to be anti-Israel. It's a litmus test. You want to be somebody who people admire on the left, you've got to turn against Israel. So he and others like him have turned against Israel and turned against Israel in a vicious way. Yeah, Larry Tribe thinks that it was Donald Trump who leaked the information to the Iranians.
Well, but you know this, Alan. You're a smart guy. Everything that's gone wrong in this country, even when they interview Harris about the border, I did the show with Bernard, the late, great Bernard, for 4 years. I don't think I said the word migrant once, Alan. Not once in 4 years when Trump was president. Now, of course, illegals, migrants, it's become a huge thing. And they blame it on Trump. How could you? I mean, come on.
Well, do you know that Professor Tribe blamed 9/11 on, October 7th on Trump. In his initial tweet, he said this was a false flag operation designed to allow Israel to go to war so that Benjamin Netanyahu can remain in office and support Donald Trump. So he basically blamed October 7th on Israel. He retracted the tweet and said, oh, my God, I didn't realize how many people were raped and murdered. Now I'm not going to say that anymore. But, he's willing, and others like him on the left are willing to say anything against Trump, against Netanyahu, against Israel in order to become fully fledged members of the hard left. Otherwise, you can't today in American University, you can't be an environmentalist unless you're anti-Israel.
Right.
You can't be a feminist unless you're anti-Israel.
That's right.
You can't support gay rights unless you're anti-Israel. It's all this intersectionality. Jews are the villains of the world, and the Palestinians are the victims of the world. If you don't accept that, you're not a member of the intersectional left. That's it.
Well said. And one of those people that you're talking about happens to be running for president in 15 days, and it's not my guy Trump. She is all too willing to throw every Jew under the bus at every opportunity. And I got to tell you, if you watch some of these networks, Alan, I know you do, CBS. So most mornings every morning, we start off the show with about a 10-minute news piece. And what it does is it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the morning. 5 or 6 big news stories, sometimes including sports, like yesterday, Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets. So every time I play CBS, every time, it's almost as if they go out of their way to make Israel look bad. Talking yesterday about the strikes that Israel was firing at Hezbollah, and talking about all the Lebanese people now. Now the Lebanese people, who are great people, mind you, much better than the Palestinians, now they're the new Palestinians. No matter where Israel goes to defend itself, all these people, like you just said, become the victims, and we're the bad guys.
There's no question. My wife got me a shirt that has a list on it of all the places where real genocides are occurring today, Sudan. And the shirt says, I don't care about any of those places because Jews aren't involved. and it's anti-Semites of the world unite. You
Wow.
only go after places where Jews are involved. Nobody cares about human rights. And frankly, a lot of these people who are marching couldn't give a damn about the Palestinians. If they did, they'd be against Hamas. They'd be in favor of trying to bring about some rebuilding of Hamas, of Gaza, like happened in Germany and Japan after the Second World War. They're not interested in the Palestinians. No. They're only interested in attacking Israel and delegitimating Israel. That's their only goal.
So let me ask you this. People go to me all the time. I was able to convince Lizzie Savetsky, a lifelong Democrat, to vote for Trump. I was able to convince Dove Hyken, a lifelong Democrat, to vote for Trump. I've got you close. I think I've got the actor Michael Rappaport close. I don't want to go there. We're 15 days away. You vote the way you want to vote. I love you. You're like a relative to me. I don't care how you vote. Whatever you want to do, you do. But I'm going to ask you to, at the very least, break down this race. 15 days before, if I ask you, Alan Dershowitz, if the election was today, who's president tonight? Forget about who you're going to vote for. What would you tell me?
I would say it's probably today slightly favorable to Harris, but trending toward Trump. And so I think the next 15 days will be absolutely crucial. Look, Trump's visit to McDonald's was a brilliant public relations ploy.
Yeah.
He did two things at the same time. He said, look, I'm human. I could actually, give out chips. And did she really ever work at McDonald's? How come nobody has ever seen her there? Right. How come there isn't a photograph? There isn't an employment contract? There isn't even an eyewitness. So, he did very well. If he could control himself for the next 2 weeks, really control himself and get down to making the argument, I don't care what you think about me as a person. My policies are better for you than her policies are. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? If he could stick to that script and stay away from YMCA dancing and attacking and doing all that, I think he has a very substantial chance of winning Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is the ball game.
There it is. You're 100% right. And I think you're right about Pennsylvania. And I think right now he's going to edge her in Pennsylvania. I want to ask you about some court cases. Right before you came on, my friend Thomas Kniff came on. He's a dear friend. He actually served his country proudly. And he, along with Steve Razor right now, Alan, are defending the Marine Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny jumped into action on a subway. He put Jordan Neely in a headlock, him and two others. Unfortunately, Jordan Neely, who, by the way, was hopped up on drugs, died on the train that day. But you've got a ton of folks of all descents, including African Americans, that say, hey, I got to tell you, this guy Penny saved my life. That didn't stop Alvin Bragg from an indictment, a grand jury, and now jury selection today. What do you see in this case?
Well, I hope that a jury is fair and identifies with subway riders. We have a case in Massachusetts, too, that I'm involved in where a veteran was attacked by an anti-Israel thug, and the veteran, with his head being banged on the floor, pulled out a gun and shot him, didn't kill him, wounded him, and the veteran has been indicted. So we're seeing a lot of those cases, and I'm in favor of people engaged in self-defense, defense of others. So I wish the lawyers in this case good luck, just like I wish the defendant in the case that I'm consulting on in Massachusetts good luck. We started an organization called Heard a Jew, We Sue You.
I love that.
People weren't Jewish, but it doesn't matter. Heard an American, We Sue You. And, today, I think, we're publishing my little pamphlet, 80-page pamphlet, called The 10 Big Anti-Israel Lies and How to Refute Them. We're trying to get 1 million copies of this pamphlet free to every college student in America to be given out to people who are open-minded and who can really see and understand that these lies that are being told about Israel have to be exposed. So I'm hoping that kids around the country will read my pamphlet and will get to the truth. I got some very good responses from college presidents and others about the book saying it's a good thing to have the other side circulated among college students.
Oh, my God, of course it is. And I would make sure it got to college students here in New York. I would help you, Alan. Let me talk about a college student who I happen to like a little bit. She's my daughter. And, of course, Danielle, my beautiful wife, my son Gabe, and my daughter Ava very well. She was doxxed when she was in Israel. So I got to tell you, she goes back to the UK, and she goes down to do her laundry, for example, Alan, and there are Arab students there, and they mock her, they jeer her, they laugh at her, they call her names, make her feel very uncomfortable. Just a couple of days ago, some guy walked by her, and with his fingers, he made the gesture of a gun and pointed it at Ava's head. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
So
that's an expellable offense.
Of course,
that,
but the question
goes beyond freedom of
right,
speech.
But
and
she
First Amendment. That's threatening. That's intimidation. That's harassment.
Yes. So she wants to come home. So Danielle says to me, "Let's talk to Dershowitz. Let's talk to Anthony Julius. We'll sue the school. There's got to be a way where at this point she should be able to do her studies remote from the United States, or we should sue those bastards. No?
Absolutely. And I'll work with Anthony, who's Britain's greatest lawyer. I'm always flattered when people say I'm the American Anthony Julius, or people say he's the British Alan Dershowitz. Yeah. So we are brothers in arms, and we will fight for your daughter, of course.
Okay, good. That's good to hear because we're getting fed up, and she's upset, and we're upset, and it's getting more and more difficult.
Yeah.
Let's go to not my daughter, but a major star who you've talked about on this show plenty of times, and you keep saying the same thing Joe Tacopina says, which is, why is this guy in jail? But every day there's 7 or 8 more new counts with Pete Diddy. This guy's got counts everywhere.
Yeah, I think we have to wait until we hear the evidence and cross-examination, but he shouldn't be in jail. He should be home with bracelets and leg things that show that he can't leave the country. If he wanted to leave, he could have left before he was indicted. He knew he was going to be indicted. He's being held in pretrial detention based on the belief that he's guilty, and maybe he is. But if he is, that will turn out at trial, and there's plenty of time for him to serve his time if he's found guilty. There shouldn't be preventive detention of people who are not flight risks and are not dangers. He's not going to go out with anybody between now and the time of the trial, and he's not going to try to escape, so he should be free on bail. That's the law. That's what the Eighth Amendment says.
You're right, he should be, but I spoke to a very prominent attorney a couple of days ago, and they agree with you. He should be, but the quote was, he's never getting out, ever.
Oh, of course that's right. Of course that's right. You imagine any judge being willing to go to his club for lunch and saying, I just released him? Right. No, they wouldn't do it. And, right. Judges are human beings. They're not going to do it. They don't have the courage of their convictions. And they apply the Constitution selectively, often in their own best interest.
Last one. Trump is still talking about Jack Smith. He did a rally this weekend. He was out there, and he called him deranged for the 100th time because Smith, of course, is trying to find new ways every day to keep that ridiculous document case alive. Does Trump have anything to worry about if he wins?
I don't think so. I think the document case is dead. I think Fulton County is dead. I think where he has a problem is Washington, D.C., and that will be after the election. But there Smith has a good judge from his point of view. The judge has been ruling in his favor consistently. I don't think he has a problem in New York. I think the conviction will be reversed on appeal. It's based on a non-crime. And I also think that the verdict against him of a $500 million fine will be lowered on appeal. So I don't think these cases will influence the election. I hope they don't, because none of the cases are worthy of anybody voting against Trump based on these cases. There are other reasons people might have for voting against him, but these cases alone do not justify a vote against him.
What a spectacular spot. I can't love you any more than I do. Danielle and I can reach out to you about Ava, okay? And we'll talk again very soon. That was great, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my man. There's the great Alan Dershowitz. I love having him on Mondays now. I love it. We get John Katsimatidis and Alan Dershowitz on Mondays. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch.